Okay. Xander, welcome to episode 2 of Xandercast. Are you going to say hi? You got to speak up. You're way in the back.
Hi.
All right. So, when we went on our last road trip on Monday, we started a podcast called Xandercast, where Xander and I just talk about the imaginary things we've invented. And we've hijacked Mommy to come with us. She can continue just being Mommy. She doesn't have to say a name.
Yay. Hi, guys.
Basically, we're just going to tell you stories.
Okay.
All right? So, Xander, what did we do in the last episode? Power Rangers Ocean Masters. So, this is episode 2. We're going to talk about Power Ranger Legends. I know Mommy doesn't care about this at all, but she's trapped in the car. So that's why she's stuck. Xander, you speak up loudly. Tell us what Power Rangers Legends is. What's it about? That's episode season 2. You don't have to reveal that guy yet. So Power Rangers Legends is a story where we get to mix up all of the past Power Rangers. In my opinion, it's the better version of Megaforce. The Japanese version was just fine. The American version was terrible. It wasted a lot of good potential, except for the final battle. That was cool. Xander, why was the final battle cool? Who came in? The legendary battle. Who was your favorite one? Oh yeah? Was he just the Green Ranger? Speak up a little. What other Rangers was he? Black? You forgot the white one. There you go. So, Xander and I write fanfic without actually writing most of it. Yep. We kind of just have plot points in a book so we don't forget things. And maybe one day I'll pay someone to do the hard work. I already do pay someone to do the art. That's how we got our Ocean Masters Megazords and our Master Ranger. So this is a story about... It's kind of a quest series where it starts off with one ranger that goes around the galaxy. They found out that former ranger relics like morphers and swords and weapons still have some of the power even if it doesn't work. And if you combine them, it can be enough to give you access to the morphing grid. The morphing grid is how they explain all these different ways of tapping into a universal energy source.
Okay.
It's called the morphing grid. Sometimes use magic and sometimes technology and so on and so forth. Ours starts with a guy named JJ who gets tapped by our new Zordon, who is the original Blue Ranger, Billy. He's a floating head in a jar just like Zordon is.
Yeah.
Why is he a floating head in a jar and not a person, Xander? When they wrote him off the series, he was the longest lasting character in the Power Rangers. He actually had 2 seasons where he wasn't even a Ranger and was still on the show. When they finally wrote him off, he left abruptly, and they had to finish the episode with a different actor. So they pretended he got cursed with an aging disease. And he went off to the planet where our alien Rangers were from, called Aquitar. It was the only way to stop him from aging to death. But he had already aged to an old man. So
wait, Xander, is he basically the face of Bo? Kinda, yeah? Okay, I get it.
So, we decided if they put him in a little time warp, is what they call that jar that Zordon's in. It's how Zordon can be immortal.
Okay.
Because his body was destroyed and his essence or spirit, or however you want to put it, is put into this jar. This time warp. So he's our new Zordon. And he taps this first guy to go to the moon to collect a copy of the Dragon Dagger so that they can get the Dragon Zord out of the ocean. Because
Dragon Zord not sad anymore.
No, because he goes to the ocean and never comes back again.
Yeah.
No one does anything with them. Even though with the Master Morpher, technically Tommy has access to those powers again. But remember, our series is all about combining. So he goes to there, and somehow Finster's old clay gets reactivated, and some old Rita Z monsters attack him. He doesn't have any powers right now. He's just a single guy on a spaceship. Oh yeah, we missed part of the plot. The spaceship they use is the Astro Delta Megazord. It was used in Power Rangers in Space as an actual Megazord, but it was used in Lost Galaxy as only a spaceship, as it was too broken to turn into a Megazord. Because Lost Galaxy had their own Zords. Now, it is so broken, it's been a museum on Earth. It can get one trip to the moon, it can't get back. So they're kind of hoping that what they find on the moon can get them back. One thing they do find on that Zord, which provides him with the I won't suffocate to death on the moon, is a in-space morpher. It gives him enough power to not die, but he can't actually morph. You know, the way we do our morphs is they only work if you can combine it with another one. So when you make up your suits, they're a combination of two former Rangers, and then when you get other morphers or relics, you can kind of get power-ups that are reminiscent of that Ranger's powers. So he goes to the moon, fights off the evil clay monsters that are left over, gets the Dragon Dagger, retrieves the Dragon Zord. That's how they get off the moon. The Dragon Zord comes to rescue them, but he's been in the ocean for a very long time. So he can get there, same problem. Get back. All these things are one trip only. So in the spirit of the show, they combine the Astro Delta Megazord and the Dragon Zord into a spaceship. Because I always thought if you looked at the triangle shield that's on the Dragon Zord, it could be the stern of a ship.
Yeah.
So we called it. What did we call it, Xander? What did we call the Dragon Zord ship? The Astro Dragon Zord, the Dragon Zord Astro Mega Ship, something like that. Way too many words, kind.
Yeah.
Who is Billy's helper? Who does help him build the ship and all that stuff? Remember that our Zordon Billy has got a helper. Do you know who that helper is? Alpha 0.5. He's a combination of former alphas. And some surprise bad guy technology that we'll find out later. So, episode 1, he's not morphed. They get the ship. They go off on their quest. We're kind of filling in plot holes here and there without actually telling you the whole story.
Right.
The reason they're on this quest is because bad guys are doing the same thing. So lots of former and new villains can show up because they're all on the hunt to tap into the morphing grid all across the galaxy. I believe the first place they go is to the Lost Galaxy. Isn't that who JJ's a combination of Lost Galaxy and In Space? Where they can retrieve one of these things called the Quasar Sabers. That's what gives the Lost Galaxy Rangers their powers. They did the whole Sword in the Stone arc with them. Alien planet, Sword in the Stone, whoever can pull it gets the power. At the end of the series, they put the stones back in the sword. So they travel to the planet. Bad guys are fighting, trying to pull the sword from there to access the power. JJ somehow able to, and with combination with the In Space, actually morphs into our first Red Ranger. As the series goes on, we found out a few weird things about JJ. When Jason David Frank shows up, the actor playing Tommy, what's he show up for, Xander? He's fighting. They introduce him in an episode of Ninja Steel called Dimensions in Danger, where he's assembled a team of former Rangers. Well, he works with a team of former Rangers that got kidnapped to make Ranger clone robots. They're draining their powers. They never explain how everyone else still has their powers, His is his Master Morpher, which they never explain where he gets it. He has assembled a team of Rangers for the same purpose that Billy did, but neither of them knew they were doing that. He uses his Master Morpher to go across the universe and stop these bad guys too and collect the relics. Well, being that he's a Green Ranger, he instinctively knows somebody took the Dragon Zord.
Of course.
And shows up to find out what's going on, and seeing this guy on the ship, they fight. Because of course they are. He's like, what are you doing stealing it? Thinking it's one of the bad guys stealing the Ranger relics again. Somehow during the battle, JJ, every time he touches Tommy's morpher to try to pull it off of him, to get him to demorph and de-escalate the fight, he turns into one of Tommy's Rangers. Xander, can you explain how JJ is able to access Tommy's powers? Yep. That Dimensions in Danger episode, he calls to a kid in the house, like, hey, JJ, get your bike off the porch. He has a son in this show. Well, this is an adult son that is way too old to be his kid. So we do reveal later that he's his son. He doesn't know that he's his son. And there's a reason Billy tapped him. Billy already knows this. Didn't tell him it either. The guy has a genetic link, basically, to the morphing grid. He's a legacy, a born Ranger. And the only reason Tommy's powers works is because it's DNA linked. So they fight, but in the middle of the fight, Tommy's Master Morpher gets damaged, and he turns into an evil, corrupted version of himself, because Jason David Frank really likes playing the bad guy version.
Yeah.
Xander, what does the evil, corrupted, mixed up Tommy, what's his name? He's from the comics? Nope. Lord Draken. Lord Draken. He's actually a character introduced in the comics, which is an evil alternate universe combination of the White and Green Ranger. This story brings him into the regular Ranger universe. He's corrupted, he's evil, they fight. Eventually learns that this is a good guy, but that's before he gets corrupted and turned into this evil one. And they fight, and JJ's able to defeat him, and he turns back normal. And they talk and shake hands and go, oh, we're doing the same thing. I guess we'll run into each other again. Tommy shakes his hand, and as he walks his way, what happened? What do you see in Tommy's eyes? He's not cured. He's still evil.
Dun, dun, dun.
He just can't use his powers. Fast forward to our first episode. We have a couple of multi-part episodes. They're major plot points. There would be tons of little episodes where you pick up the other Rangers or a combination of others. But our first episode is of our major multi-part. It's called The Time Quest. The Time Force Pink Ranger comes back in time. She's the leader of that team. Whenever there's time problems, she goes around and fixes anomalies in time. She shows up on JJ's ship to find out this is the source of a time anomaly. For some reason, someone has been going back in time and messing with it. They're actually going back to each of Tommy's former incarnations and his Zords. So the Time Quest has him going to each... I pictured this where they used actual recycled footage from the show. And they go to each Tommy, Ranger form, and Zord. Along the way, they meet a new bad guy. Who's the new bad guy, Xander?
You're not much help.
I know.
Come on.
Prism Psycho Ranger. He's all the Psycho Rangers in one. A Rainbow Psycho Ranger. He was in actually 2 different Power Rangers series, In Space and Lost Galaxy. They're basically evil Power Rangers. He goes to each time. Now they eventually defeat him and turn him back into a card. That's what they're stored on, as data cards.
Okay.
But they never find out during then why he was going to each different Tommy Ranger until we get to part 2 of Lord Draken. Xander, what was part 2 of the Lord Draken episode? Which we named Shattered Grid like the comic books were named. What is Tommy doing? And why did he send the Psycho Prism Ranger back? to speak up. He was tagging each former Tommy self to bring them forward to time to him.
Yeah.
He needs to drain all of his former powers to repower his Master Morpher to turn back into Lord Dragon. So, kind of stealing some of the plot from that episode of stealing the Ranger's powers for the robot things. So, and you can get away with having Tommy in 6 different incarnations because they're all in suits. So they're stealing all the powers. The Time Force Pink and him, JJ, get back just in time to figure out what's going on. They battle. He steals their powers, turns back into Lord Dragon. JJ shows up afterwards, frees them, and they combine all their power and somehow his access to Tommy's power to fix his Master Morpher. It's got, like, we'll pretend it has cracks in it and stuff. They fix it, and he gets uncorrupted. What does he turn into, Xander? You forget everything. What is the good mixed up Tommy Ranger? The Master Ranger. That's the one we had to draw a picture of. And that's basically the major plot points of that season 1. Is basically following around Jason David Frank more. And of course picking up power-ups and other bad guys. Rita and Zed had been turned good, but they still have a son that's out there that's evil. We were going to mix Diva Tox and Astronema. None of this means anything to you.
No.
I think underwater Diva mixed with a evil space princess.
Okay.
So, which, by the way, I just realized that they when I was watching the Transformers movie, I realized the female Transformer RC, they redesigned her slightly for the movie to look a hell of a lot like Princess Leia.
Really?
There's even a scene where she's laying on something exactly like Leia was when they introduced her. The exact same pose. They fembotted her up a lot.
Oh, come on. That's why I liked RC, because she was tough.
They were in one episode. Well, I mean, the voice actress did a lot to voice her concerns that she wasn't just, a sex bot.
Yeah.
But anyways, Xander, what's the major bad guy in Season 2 of Power Rangers Legends? Hey, you, I'm talking to you. In the back playing. Season 2, who's our major bad guy? Alright, you might remember this one better as it's fresher. So you know that fritzed out skull thing that's in front of my bed?
Yeah.
That's Zombie Zordon.
Okay.
So, in Power Rangers, Zordon dies. He sacrifices himself by having that time warp jar of his shattered, and his good energy spreads across the universe and purifies all the bad guys. But Zordon was linked to the morphing grid directly for thousands of years. And he was, he wasn't human, but he was still a mortal being at one point. And mortal beings have good and bad.
Yeah.
So if his good energy went across the universe to purify, what happened to any of him that might have been bad? It went into the morphing grid, where it corrupted something. And we've got this fritzed out, kind of fading in and out, skull zombie Zordon. A floating skull in a jar. And we find out in this episode, he's the one who's actually been motivating certain bad guys and repowering them, including the Prism Psycho Ranger, to go around and collect these relics so he can drain their morphing energy and bring himself into our universe. So Season 2 is where we find out where the real bad guy is, instead of just the quest series where everyone's going around on their own, Indiana Jonesing it. We find out there's a master, if you will. Right, Xander? Is Zombie Zordon kind of like the master? Yeah. Alright. We even have Skeleputties, which are putties with Power Ranger powers. Because he is tied to the morphing grid. Just, the bad parts of it. And he's been slowly stealing bits and pieces of power. So, I don't think we wrote any major episodes in that. Oh yeah, we did. We started the first episode where him showing up by accessing Billy's little time warp that he's in basically makes Billy disappear. We don't know where he went. So he kills, if for better word, Billy for now. And JJ has to go and find out what's going on. They need the Sword of Light, which was used to give the White Ranger his powers, and in the comics they tell is a direct link to Zordon's power. It's basically all the parts of him that isn't that spirit in that jar. They do a very good job in the comics of making extreme plot holes in Power Rangers make sense. For example, Rita and him came from the same planet, so they're both technically sorcerers.
Aha.
Which is why he's able to do what he does. He has access to ancient powers, which could be translated as magic technology, just being technology so advanced you can't differentiate it between magic.
Which is the definition of magic, yes.
Which, and even the Thor comics did that a while back in the 90s. They claimed that Asgard and all that was just technology so advanced you couldn't tell it was magic.
Which is, once again, that is the definition of magic.
And a lot of magical shows now, even Constantine is saying, energy is energy and so on and so forth. I mean, that's a huge simplification.
That's not, yes, but it's not a new idea. It's not at all. Literary concept.
Not at all.
So,
but that's what they're going with right now, so they can make magic characters play with science characters.
Yes.
So they have to find out what happened to the Sword of Light after Zordon dies. What happens to this thing? So the first episode, they go to Eltar. After, having their first encounter with Billy being gone, without their mentor. Alpha Point 5 is still around. He's a robot. He's basically running the ship. And Eltar is Zordon's planet, where he's from originally. That's as far as we got in that series. So, Xander, I've talked this entire thing. Is there any parts of Power Ranger Legends you want to tell Mommy about before we sign off episode 2? Go ahead, and speak loudly. Oh yeah? What's the Christmas special? Speak up louder, please. But then, does he say it's morphing time, or does he say something else? Are you sure he doesn't say it's Christmas time? I think one other part too we forgot to say is JJ got sent back in time, so the Pink Time Force Ranger already knows about him. That's why she goes to him during this, because she knows this great crisis is coming, which is later going to link to Zombie Zordon, which is why she sent him back in time, because the future gets destroyed. All of time gets destroyed. And...
Xander, look out the window, please.
We're in Pennsylvania.
We're almost in Pennsylvania.
So,
Ohio.
There's some great crisis in the future that destroys all of time.
Now we're in Pennsylvania.
Tommy sends his only son back in time as a baby to be raised to an adult. And hopefully when he's an adult, he can be trained to be a ranger and help stop whatever this great crisis is that's coming. So it's an open plot that we haven't decided how to fill in yet.
box.
Is it a Skelleputty?
Yeah.
Skelleputty?
Yeah.
Alright. I just like that word. Gives us an excuse to use my skeleton warriors.
Yeah.
Noticed that he was in the Christmas tree. Because it had that's as far as we got.
Yep. Alright, we call this thing a fanfic, but really it's a whole bunch of notes in a notebook.
Yeah, it's still fanfic.
Half the fun is to, like,
It's not done.
at the end of the second part of the Shattered Grid episode, Tommy gives him a real Dragon Dagger instead of the copy that's being used, and he can actually power up his mixed-up suit to include Tommy's shield, little dragon shield. And then all the other Rangers came forward. Tommy actually brings their Zords forward and makes a mixed-up Tommy Zord called the Master Zord.
No.
And we have this joke going on that he brings all these guys out of time and then takes their Zords and runs away with them and then puts them back in time. How does time still work if all their Zords are now missing? And Alpha 0.5 or Billy is like, oh, there's a very simple explanation for it, and then the credits roll. It's the same way how they did Dimensions and then you go, oh, it's all alternate dimensions. That's how it all works. We have a combination of other Rangers, like you can combine the colors. Like if you get a yellow Ranger and a red Ranger, we now have an orange Ranger.
Oh.
We can do like the Christmas Ranger split down the middle.
Right.
They actually made a special edition Japanese key that was like that for Christmas. That's where I got the idea.
Oh.
It's split down the middle, half green, half red. It was only a Japanese exclusive during Sentai. We got them where they're striped, the different colors. Jungle Fairy purple, and I think Wild Force Lion for a Lion Wolf. And we wanted to do one. There's about to be 4 different dinosaur series. So all of those series have at least one dinosaur in common. So we have a Ranger that comes up that's all the pterodactyls from the 3. I haven't figured out what the 4th one is yet because it hasn't come up.
Right.
Oh, Xander, I want to tell you a bit of Power Ranger news, and I know Mommy doesn't care about any of this, but she's stuck and trapped in the car. So, Hasbro bought Power Rangers. It's a toy company. And they have, you know how every year they take a different Sentai series and turn it into Power Rangers? Speak up.
Yeah?
Alright. I just got news that they have canceled that relationship. That might mean no more Power Rangers. I don't know, but there is a rumor because they've recently formed a partnership with a company that makes cartoons. They might make the next Power Rangers series after this next live action cartoons. Meaning instead of using recycled Japanese footage, they're going to animate fresh. People have rumored that they really want to tap into the comics and do the Shattered Grid storyline and some of the other stories in that. But to me, it sounds like a great idea to tell them to do our fan fiction. If they could draw it, they wouldn't necessarily have to work out all the acting.
Maybe.
Alright. He is absolutely very much concerned with this new toy. So we'll sign off on this thing Aaron doesn't care about. Xander, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye, everyone.
Until episode 3?
Stay tuned. Episode 3. Bye.
Welcome to Xandercast episode 2, part 2.
And we have Starscream here.
Do you know why it's episode 2, part 2?
No.
Because wasn't the last one we did like 2.5, part 2?
Yeah.
Because, what was the topic of episode 2?
Don't know.
Power Rangers Legends.
Actually, no. The last episode we did was episode 3, part 2.
Episode 3 is going to be... This is getting really overly complicated and confusing.
Yeah.
Episode 3 we haven't even done yet because it's going to be the Analog Kingdom.
I already have recorded my voice
Alright.
of Xandercast.
Well, I haven't done that yet. Anyways, the reason we're doing this is because I have some new Power Rangers Legends story. And so do you. We had come up with some parts of Three Eyes.
Yes.
Why don't you tell our viewers about Three Eyes?
3 Eyes was a bad monster, but then he stole 3 morphers, and then the 3 morphers made him good, and now every time he tries to do something bad, he gets stopped and falls down.
Okay. Now I had come up over the week some more parts of that Quest for the Sword of Light, Zombie Zordon, Season 2.
Yeah.
Alright, but before we start that, I come up with some of it earlier in the week and must have had in the back of your mind your idea about the 3 eyes, because I had come up with a character and decided, oh, he should have 3 eyes. And I had forgotten that you had told me about your guy. So I think we can merge these 2 stories together into one. But I want to give you an overarching idea of some of the themes that I've just come up with for Power Rangers Legends. It's a quest series, we decided, where the guy's questing around to pick up these objects, right? Now, he's alone a lot of the times. In the first season, he pulls together a team of Rangers from all around the galaxy, right?
Yes, and every episode characters are still popping up, and every before episode you see little pop-ups of characters merging together, morphers.
Yep. So at the end of season 1, kind of like a lot of the Rangers series, how they've been splitting them into 2 seasons now, all the Rangers go their separate ways. So it's just JJ out there in the universe with his Astro Dragon megaship, Alpha Point 5, and Billy. In the beginning of season 2, Billy gets shorted out and fritzed and goes away for Zombie Zordon to come in. And that's how we start our series with the quest for the Sword of Light to defeat Zombie Zordon. It's the last bit of Zordon's good power in the universe. So episode 1, Billy goes away. We find out about
Zombie Zordon.
Zombie Zordon. Alright, now I kind of got off track here. But an overarching theme of this series. Now JJ, who Power Ranger fans will know who it really is.
Yeah.
But in our series, he's an orphan. He grew up an orphan. He's always been alone. He's a loner. Even his first mission, he's basically alone if you don't count Billy and Alpha.
Yeah.
On the moon. And the whole series is about merging and coming together and things being powerful only when they come together. So one of these overarching themes is this quest not only to find these morphers, but to find his family, his chosen family. He doesn't have to be related to them, and all these people might be weak on their own and can't defeat the hordes of these space aliens, but when they come together, they can be. Which has always kind of been a theme of Power Rangers. Of coming together. So that's kind of like an overarching, deeper theme. So you can understand, like, multiple level stories. Alright, so now that I bored you with those details, episode 2, what do we do in episode 2 of the second season? Because we're looking for the Sword of Light.
Yeah, but episode 2 we haven't really decided.
He went to Eltar,
Oh yeah.
Zordon's home planet,
Yeah.
to look for the Sword of Light. We haven't, you're right, we didn't really finish what happens on that episode, other than we know he doesn't find it there. But, one thing I had come up with through the week, what if he gets a whole new team of Rangers during this series?
Wait. What if on Eltar he finds the person who gave the Power Rangers on the first Power Rangers movie their powers, like the Falcon Zord, Tiger Zord, the Frog Zord.
The ninja lady?
Yeah, what if he finds her?
Okay, that's a thought. She could be there, but maybe she's old now, right?
Yeah.
because she's aged
And she still can become an owl.
but she's still a powerful woman, right? And Ninjor's the one who created the power coins.
Yep.
All right. So she tells them that it's not here and tells them where to go. Now, do you remember Power Rangers SPD?
Yeah.
Do you remember what kind of an alien is the commander of the SPD?
A dog.
Dog alien. He's from a planet called Sirius, which SPD is set in the future. So what's happening right now in our series doesn't have to have happened yet from SPD. So she tells him that Eltar had an alliance with another local planet who were this warrior race, a heavy aristocracy, kind of like kings and queens, but they had warriors with extremely strong senses of honor, like samurais. And samurais would only work for one king, queen, or ruler. But they were considered great, honor-driven protectors of the universe. So a lot of... Because Eltar was destroyed when Rita originally attacked it 10,000 years ago. When Zordon was still a human, or a person, before he went into time warp.
Yeah, but wait. How did the Rangers from the first movie go to Eltar? Yeah, wasn't it destroyed?
It was. I don't think they're on Eltar in that movie, but we can decide that that lady is on Eltar now. Or maybe, well, you notice she was the only one on Eltar, so maybe Eltar was destroyed. We saw a lot of ruins. We didn't see many people or cities. So, in our story, which I think is kind of alluded to but never really established in Power Rangers, Rita destroyed Eltar. Because in the comics, Rita's actually from Eltar. She's half Eltar and half evil space alien.
Yeah.
Her father's Master Vile, who you met in Power Rangers when she married Zed. Alright, so they're going to go to the second planet because Eltar sent all their secrets to their partner, the people they were allied with, the warrior dog race of Sirius. Because later, this will be how you eventually get SPD. Alright? So she sends them to Sirius because they were entrusted with the last bit of the secrets of Eltar. Their technology to access the morphing grid. Which had been lost for 10,000 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Rita destroyed the planet so nobody else could get that power. Which she had discovered to create the green power coin. So they go to Sirius and they meet someone there. Now, Sirius, in the days since... Do you remember Power Rangers in Space? The very last episode where all the evil villains team up and Zordon is killed.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they were all under the head of a major villain called Dark Spectre. And they laid siege to the entire universe.
And somebody's
sister
became bad, and Zordon made her good.
Yep, he had purified the universe. And since this story is a lot about what happened after Zordon's purification, they're going to go to Sirius. Well, Sirius had to take in refugees from another planet that got destroyed during the Dark Spectre War. Aquitar. The planet was destroyed, because remember, that's going to come to play a factor in our Ocean Masters, remember?
Yeah.
So,
Wait.
Sirius is filled with the dog aliens, but they have a bunch of aqua aliens from Aquitar on the planet.
So that's where Billy went in the original Power Rangers?
Well, Billy was on Aquitar because it was the only place he could be and not age. Billy got put in the time tube because Aquitar got destroyed. Without being on that planet, he would have aged to death. Right? That's part of the story we developed.
He was morphed.
Right. Well, he lost his morphing power when Zordon died. Remember, we're going to say that he lost the ability to morph when Zordon died. Because Zordon was the one who had access to those coins. So they go to Sirius, and we're at home now, so we're going to end this episode here in a second, but let me reveal you one major thing. They're going to find on that planet that the Aquitar aliens were able to have children with some of the dog aliens. But they're mutated. And I'm thinking, what about an alien that looks like a crocodile cat?
Ooh, crocodile cat.
Now, the problem with mixing those races is that there's a heavy chance for severe mutations. Well, this guy has a mutation. Not only does he look like an alligator cat and not a dog or an underwater alien, he's got a third eye. Dun dun dun.
3 eyes.
To be continued.
And 3 eyes. This episode is all about...
Welcome to Xandercast, episode 2, part 3. What were we talking about when last we left, Xander? What of our imaginary series were we talking about?
I forget.
What was our very last Xandercast?
Yeah. Power Legend. Sorry, I was thinking of Beast Wars because I have the Beast Wars Megaton here.
All right. So, we had talked about your villain, 3 Eyes, right?
Yep.
How far did we get into his story?
Not very far.
So I had come up with a story, as I had mentioned earlier, about this guy with 3 eyes who's part Aquitar alien and part Sirius dog alien. Because that's where all the refugees at Aquitar went after the Power Rangers in Space war with Dark Spectre. Because their planet was destroyed. And we found out that they could interbreed. Meaning the 2 species could have children. The problem is, because they're such different species, one is a water-based alien and the other one is more dog-based, there was a heavy chance for mutations. So this is where we come up with this guy, 3 Eyes. And the reason he grows up to be a bad guy is that these mutated children aren't exactly treated nicely on this planet. Are they?
No.
And his mutation was not only that he looked like an alligator cat, it's that he, which would have been more normal in line with what the 2 aliens mixed together would look like. His mutation is his 3rd eye, right?
Yep.
I had just revealed to you a minute ago that I'd come up with a name for him. Would you like to hear the name that his parents would call him?
Yes.
His 3 Eyes sounds to me more like a name you would call somebody that if you're picking on them. Or in your case, a bad guy's name. Triton Zolt.
Triton Zolt?
Zolt starts with an X. X-O-L-T.
Ooh, same letter my name. I go by starts with X-A-N-D-E-R.
Now that
sounds like it should be a Z, but it's an X.
Right. And it also sounds like an alien's name, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the only dog alien that we know of from the planet Sirius is in the future in SPD. He is the head of SPD. And his name is Anubis Kroger. Anubis is an Egyptian dog god of death. So I chose God's names. Triton is a water god, son of Poseidon in Greek mythology. And Zolt is an Aztec dog god of fire and lightning. So it sounds like some cool ideas for some powers for him, right? Like lightning and fire powers when he morphs. So we kind of jumped ahead a little bit here because I mentioned he morphs. So he's a bad guy. How does he become a good guy?
He steals 3 morphers.
What 3?
I haven't really found out.
Okay. Well, I have a list of ideas for combinations I like. We could pick through them later, but considering his species, here's a thought. Because I had mentioned this earlier. I like the idea of mixing a lion and a wolf. Alright? A wolf lion. And we've got a wolf we can pick from Jungle Theory, purple. And we have a lion and a wolf we can pick from in Wild Force. Sound good?
Yeah.
I mean, we could even later on have him power up with the lion fire armor.
Yep.
So it would make sense if he's kind of this mix of animal-based sort of aliens, that his ranger powers would be more suitable to somebody who's, you know, part lion and part wolf. So there's a thought there. So I got a little history. I started putting together more of a deeper backstory. A lot of what's happening in this 2nd season is a lot of a fallout of the actions of Zordon. So 10,000 years ago, Zordon's planet of Eltar was attacked by Rita. Now they eventually were able to stop her but not before she mortally wounded Zordon, which is why he's in the time capsule. Time warp. Now, I'm not sure if this is Rangers lore or not, but I had decided that his race are actually very long-lived people. They don't naturally die for thousands and thousands of years. Hence, Rita being 10,000 years old. Not just because she's a witch, but because she's half Eltar.
Yeah.
Her mother was from Eltar, and her father was an evil space alien. And Zordon would have lived for thousands and thousands of years if he hadn't been more or less killed by Rita. Well, that war destroyed the planet of Eltar. Now, the Dark Spectre War destroyed the planet of Aquitar. There's a lot of fallout from all those villains teaming up, right? They destroyed planets.
Yeah.
The Aquitar aliens that were left over were refugees and went to live on Sirius, which is part of what eventually leads to Sirius being the first headquarters of Power Rangers SPD. They finally come up with a military universal Power Rangers that's more organized and structured, as opposed to all these separate teams that are only to one planet. And I like to think that our story plays a role in that, in then deciding there needs to be a handle on all this Ranger tech. Like who's morphing when and who's accessing the grid when, which is what eventually will lead to SPD. Because of that, I decided, why would Sirius have anything to do with Eltar? Because our series is, first episode they go to Eltar and don't find the Sword of Light. They find it destroyed, but as you had mentioned, they find that owl lady from the movie.
Yeah.
Who gives them the ninja powers.
Yeah.
Which is a little different in the Power Rangers, the series. Ninjor gives them those powers. And she directs them to Sirius because Sirius was an ally of Eltar, and that's where they get all their, that's where Eltar sent the last of their, like, secrets of their long-lost Ranger tech. How they can access the morphing grid. So they pick up this guy. Now, in the first season of Power Rangers, what's wrong? You broke it?
No, can't transform him correctly. I've transformed him correctly, but why can't you insist?
Maybe you just wait till you're not being distracted by talking. The first season of this, we have a whole team of Rangers that JJ collects. The second season, he collects a new team.
Yeah.
We've discussed some ideas about the Rangers, but not how they get them, really. So episode 1 is when we find out Zombie Zordon. Episode 2 is Eltar. Episode 3 is Sirius. Episode 4 is what?
But I don't know yet.
They go to the Zeo Crystal planet,
Ooh.
where they find one lone person living on that whole planet. A boy. A boy that is 10,000 years old, but still a boy.
Yeah.
He will become our next Ranger. Now tell me about what his Ranger powers are.
I actually forgot.
Zeo?
Oh, yeah, Zeo. Forgot that's his name. That's what the Rangers
We call him, his name is Zeo because he's on the Zeo Crystal planet. He never was given a name.
Well, actually, he can't remember his name.
Okay, that's fair. And where does he get his powers from? What's his combination?
Zeo and something else.
Ninja Steel?
Oh, yeah.
It was Zeo and Ninja Steel and something else? Do you remember what the third thing was?
Actually, no. We're not doing the Turbonizer.
Oh. Yeah, we had another version called the Turbonizer that he came up with, which was Turbo and Zeo and Ninja Steel.
Yeah, more or less.
What's in this Zeo thing? Oh, you said Ranger. No, that's Turbo, isn't it?
Yeah.
That was your Turbonizer. All right, so we're still thinking on his powers.
Yeah.
We wrote it down somewhere. It's in our book. What's the secret of this kid?
Don't know. I forget.
He has a secret. Well, here's a hint. What color's his face? His skin?
Oh, I forget.
White.
Right.
Like, not white like white people in Caucasian people in America, but like alabaster white. Like chalk white.
Oh.
What race do we know that's that color?
Zordon is that color in the time warp.
Yep.
And I thought only the time warp made him white.
Zordon was long thought to believe the last sole survivor of the race of Eltar. I mean, minus the half that Rita is.
Yeah.
Zordon had an illegitimate child that he didn't tell anyone about. And he sent the child during that war, when the planet was destroyed, off to the Zeo Crystal planet because he thought the natural power of the Zeo Crystals would shield the child from Rita. And it did. But the child grew up never knowing his parents, grew up alone on a whole planet by himself, full of extremely powerful Ranger relics. The crystals alone are extremely powerful for accessing the morphing grid, just naturally. So that's him. He'll become one of our Rangers. And we have another Ranger that we haven't discussed yet. We haven't gotten to the episode where we figure her out yet. She's a blue-skinned woman, and she is mommy-sized. She's not a small woman, right?
Yeah.
In fact, she's kind of treated like the mommy aboard the ship.
Yeah.
Or she treats everyone else like their mother.
Yeah.
She's a nerd. She's an otaku, which is an anime nerd. She's a loner. Oh, there's a deer.
I saw it.
And kind of an outcast. Now, she comes from a society that's pretty close to Earth.
Oh.
So a lot like us. You know, sits in her apartment watching cartoons all the time and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Hasn't had a lot of relationship experience. But, because she's such an anime nerd, how does she turn into a Power Ranger?
I don't know. How?
Like a magical schoolgirl?
Yeah.
Like Sailor Moon?
Yeah.
She has a combination of a Dino Charger,
Yes.
a Ranger Key,
Yes.
and...
Double Ranger key.
And, well, that's someone else. For her, it has to be a Magic Ranger Key from Mystic Force
Okay.
to make her the Magic Ranger. Because that's what we're going to call her. And a Ninja Star
Okay.
from Ninja Steel. And when it combines, it kind of looks like a transformation pen.
Yeah.
Like one of those wands from Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
And she transforms kind of like a magical schoolgirl. Even her Ranger costume's got ribbons on it.
Yeah.
And bows.
Yeah. Don't ask why.
I think some of when you're making these combinations has to do with the personality of the person. So maybe her Ranger costume kind of forms a bit based on her personality. Also, she'll be the first plus-sized woman that I would have ever seen in Power Rangers. Because normally they're very fit and active young ladies. So that's where we're at now, right?
Uh-huh.
Do you have anything else to add for now?
No.
No? So we'll sign off until we come up with more?
Yeah.
All right. Oh,
Yeah.
I do want to make a few notes. So I had mentioned earlier the overarching plot about these people coming together. There's a secondary part of that plot is, have you noticed any commonalities amongst the type of people that are being collected to be Rangers?
No.
Where they come from, they're outcasts. They're rejected. They're people that have been treated meanly across the universe.
AJ was mean?
JJ was treated meanly on Earth because he was an orphan. They're not the most sociable of people, and yet, still, they're coming together to protect the universe that has treated them pretty badly.
Yeah. So, basically, they shouldn't have the universe.
But for some reason, they still are.
There's some reason.
Yeah. That's the definition of altruism. Doing good for good's sake. Without getting something out of it for yourself. Alright.
Actually, they do get something out of it.
Well, they get to be Power Rangers.
And good lives.
Good lives? That's true. Well, they haven't had exactly good lives beforehand, and it's not like battling space monsters is an easy life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of loss that comes with things like that. Even the guy we call Three Eyes, Triton Zolt, he became a bully because of how bully he was. He turned into a monster.
Yeah.
And it was only until he got the Ranger powers that he started to become good.
Yeah.
And actually did something for other people. But you can understand why he became so mean, right?
Yeah.
That's called a redemption story, where this person is trying to make up for the bad things he's done in his life. Even if it was understandable, it's not necessarily right. Just because you were bullied or abused doesn't mean you have to bully or abuse someone else, right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's actually not how it's supposed to go.
Well, did you know that Daddy was an abused person? Do you know that Grandma did not treat me all that well growing up?
Yeah.
Yes. Do I treat you like that?
No.
No. Why?
I don't know.
Well, one, I love you. Two, it's the right thing to do. You can't just continue this.
Baseball.
And Grandma was also
Baseball.
abused. You finally got him transformed? Alright, I'm getting a little too heavy for you, aren't I?
Yeah.
Alright.
Sign off.
Sign off. Like I said earlier, I was going to...
Signing off.
As soon as I
Signing off.
get my phone to open back up.
Where's the light? Hello and welcome to Xandercast, episode 2, part infinity.
Tell people what you're going to talk about today.
I am going to talk about Power Rangers Legends. Hello, this is your narrator, Xandercast. Kompik.
Make sure you speak up.
Kompik.
Alright.
But I feel Kompo, but.
Alright, Xander, continue the story.
So, I'm starting a new Ranger. Amara Blues.
Skinned.
Skin purple. Magic Ranger.
Loner.
Loner.
Otaku.
Taco. What's the next one?
Shut-in.
Shotkin. In a hood.
She's a nerd.
No.
Sorry, my handwriting's hard to read, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Alright. That's our mommy ranger. Her name's Amara. Who's the next one?
Triton Zol. Bad guy name, monster name, I mean, 3 eyes.
Can you read any of that?
No.
He's a Sirius. The planet of Sirius is the dog aliens. Hybrid of Aquitar aliens. So he's part Sirius alien, part Aquitar alien. What's the defining characteristic that makes him look weird?
The eye in the middle of his forehead.
And let me see. I can't read more of it. Let's see. Show me. This tells you what kind of powers he's got.
Wild Force, Tiger Jungle,
Plus
Jungle Fury, P. What does a P mean?
Wolf.
1. Zia. Z. This one. That's his name. 10,000.
10,000.
10,000 years. What is this one, Dad?
10,000 year old. Sorry, I abbreviated the word year.
What is this one?
Boy on Zio.
Yeah.
Crystal planet.
Crystal planet. The only person there. Last child.
Speak up.
Last child of Elstar. Zordon something.
Zordon's illegitimate son.
What does this mean?
Dionyser.
Oh, Dionyser Ranger keys Alto.
Alternate.
Alternate.
Yeah, it's an abbreviation for alternate. Alt.
What?
Turbonizer.
Turbonizer.
Like maybe he can get powered up later.
Yeah.
Or something a little different. What do you think? Read down. See what she got there. I wrote some new notes today.
What is this?
Zeo plus Ninja Steel.
Uh-huh.
Plus a Turbo Ranger key.
Zeo Ranger X. Right. Look. Like red. T-G-O.
Red plus gold.
Red plus gold. Ranger. What is this? Mashups. Hit.
But.
What?
But. Read the next word.
In right.
Mm-hmm. Now read what I wrote after that.
What is that? What is the first word?
Has an evil form.
Has an evil form.
The Z Ranger.
The Z Ranger.
Uh-oh. Who's that?
Not that.
Uh-huh. So why would Z have an evil form? What would a Z Ranger look like?
Not that.
Kind of, but with a Power Ranger.
They look like
Alright.
Red Ranger.
Well, this episode isn't going so great because you're having a hard time reading my handwriting. Turn the page and see if that's any easier to read.
I know.
How about we just end this episode and we'll try it again a different way later, when I can actually read it to you.
To be continued. Bum, bum.
Wait a minute. Skip that. How about I ask you questions?
Okay.
Alright, put that bookmark back in where it was. And then read that bookmark. You went too far. But. Right there. Put that bookmark in there. And then read what the bookmark says.
What does the monster something?
The monster look like. Alright, well you told me at the playground today. What did his monster form look like? What was the design before I came up with the Triton Zolt version?
His original design was the legend says the same name, different person. Mainly all of the original people from Power Rangers, mainly all of those guys, but
What guys?
the original Power Rangers monsters.
Okay.
But except for Finster, Finster became good, and now we got another one for them. So the legend Finster got a random person who was to become a ranger if he kept on helping the rangers and didn't give away his name.
So what's he look like as a monster?
So this is his original story and also what he looks like. So Legend Finster took that person and then made him green. And then put a third eye on in the middle of his forehead, gave him a third leg and a third arm, mainly just three everythings.
3 heads?
Yeah, no, except the 3 heads.
Alright. What, was he an alien?
No, he was just a regular human originally.
Alright.
But he did have a little teensy tiny bit of.
Oh yeah? So we,
He's one of Billy's 4 children.
4 children?
Yeah, he had 4.
Oh yeah? Well, that I didn't know. That's new to me.
He had 4.
So that was the story you had come with, and I had independently come up with the Triton Zolt guy, and then kind of started to merge him with yours. Now my guy looks like a alligator cat human. So somewhere in there, I think his monster form is going to look like you're saying. Although an alligator cat would be green, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So that does fit.
Originally, I was thinking of colors, And I thought of, wait, shouldn't we, wait, shouldn't we make him look kind of, shouldn't we make him look with like green? Actually, I don't know where I got the green from. It just kind of popped to me one night.
That's fine. Ideas don't have to necessarily come from someplace. They just happen. Okay, now we'll end the episode. Sound good?
Yes.
Or at least this part of this never-ending episode.
Yeah. To be continued. Bum bum bum.
Okay, Xander, why don't you start over telling me about the flashlight rangers?
So, the flashlight rangers is a series I made up because I was messing with a flashlight that was purple. Me and my mom's first favorite colors, and it was an emergency hand crank flashlight, and there is and at the beginning of the first episode with Flashlight Rangers, it will be a two-parter, but the first episode will be not because of flashlights. And then it will become, they each have different colors of the Ocean Master Rangers, but here's a trick. The orange part of that's teams.
Alright.
Even a purple ranger, which is new. And my mom's hand-trained flashlight will be a prop.
Alright. What's the tree frog rangers? Are they like those weird poison dart frog colors, like all mixed up and striped?
No.
Or is there something else? What's the tree frog rangers?
The tree frog rangers, they're kind of like the flashlight rangers. Because I'm picking out things that humans can actually transform into, with no problem at all. I can become a big hand crane.
You can turn into a flashlight with no problem at all?
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works, but okay.
I can make myself look like one anyway.
Oh, okay.
And then, the tree frog rangers are basically just like tree frogs, but the tree frog rangers are basically have every morph. They have everything a frog can do. And he also can become
They can stick to walls?
Yeah.
Alright. Climb trees?
Yeah.
You should look into poison dart frogs. I think those colors, the way they look, would look really cool for a ranger outfit. You ever heard of a poison dart frog?
I think so.
Google it when you get home sometime. I think you'll like the way they look. Now, do you know why they're called poison dart frogs?
No.
Because the tribes that lived in the Amazon would tip their spears of their darts, and they would coat the tips of their darts, like little blowgun darts, with the poison from these things to kill animals for hunting. Because these animals secrete a poison that if you touch will kill you or make you sick, depending on what size of an animal you are, so that other things don't eat them. To warn predators, hey, maybe you shouldn't mess with me, I'm poisonous, they're extremely brightly colored, like neon colored. As opposed to lots of other animals, their skin is a color to camouflage to hide them from predators, right?
Roy G. Biv.
Yep. These...
That's everything I know about. You're just basically telling me about Roy G. Biv.
Yep.
Actually, he's a name for a poison dart frog in Wildcats.
Oh, yeah, Roy G. Biv is the colors of the rainbow.
Yeah, I know.
Our Rainbow Raider is set out in that pattern. So, as opposed to every other animal, which is camouflaged in their colors so that they hide from predators, these guys are so brightly colored so they stand out, so predators can see them right away and go, oh no, I shouldn't mess with them, they're poisonous. So you were talking about a white-green ranger combination.
Which my dad always made the power coin for, thanks to his ideas. He actually made it before he ever told me about the legends.
Yep. Because we have an old McDonald's morpher that was broken, so we took off the sticker that was all gone on it, put on Velcro, and laminate new coins all the time. So you can make it a master morpher. That's what we call it now. We didn't call it that until Tommy had the name for that thing in Dimensions in Danger.
Yeah.
So you had been talking about Dragon Zord, Tiger Zord combination?
Yeah. If you are a Power Rangers fan like us, you would know that the regular original sword can combine with this the Dragon Zord two different ways. One, the pieces can be put on it in different places, and two, it can sit on top of the shoulders of the original Megazord and sit on in the other Megazord. I don't know the name for in original Power Rangers.
The ninja one?
No, original Power Rangers.
Thunder?
No.
Original Power Rangers. There's the Megazord, there's the Dragon Zord, there's Titanus.
Yes, Titanus. I was trying to think of that name. So, going Titanus, the Dragon Zord can put on top. You just basically get, as you know, if you're a Power Rangers fan like me, the Tiger Zord's head literally rolled off.
Yeah, that was traumatic.
He found it all over the head.
So, we're about to head into a store, so before I end the recording, I wanted to tell you that I had some thoughts like that too. So, our fourth episode of Power Rangers and Legends. So, episode 1 is when we find out about Zombie Zordon and Billy goes away. Mm-hmm. Episode 2, we go to Eltar to try to find the Sword of Light. And from there, the Owl Ninja Lady directs us over to Sirius, who were the keepers of the lost Eltar Ranger Tech. There we find Triton Zolt, who is introduced to us as a monster called Three Eyes, until he steals morphers, and when he morphs, he turns good.
Yep.
Fourth episode. Triton Zolt is actually a tech genius, kind of like Billy was, right?
Yep.
He starts tracing down Zordon's energy for the Sword of Light, and it takes him to this place out in deep space where there shouldn't be anything. So the Rangers go there, and you know what they find there?
What?
The Zord Graveyard. This is where broken Zords go when they're destroyed, so that no one steals them and tries to reassemble their parts and make them into bad things. Do you know who's guarding the graveyard?
Who?
The Ranger Slayer. In her graveyard Zord. So there's going to be a whole bunch of that episode, and I'm going to tell you later.
To be continued. Bum, bum, bum.
Welcome back to some odd old episode of Xandercast again. Are you just repeating me?
Yes.
Alright, what did you want to tell them about Xander?
My new Power Ranger. This Power Ranger should be in Legends because it's a matched Beast Morpher character. And really, it has to be a girl.
Xander, all they're hearing is you move around pieces and parts.
Well, I am making a new Legends Ranger which has a beast bot. You can tell it will be, which had actually two beast bots, and you can tell it's from Rangers in the Beast Morphers. here. It's made out of 2 Beast Morpher Rangers. Beast Morphers Red non-avatar and Beast Morphers Yellow non-avatar. And it's 2 Beast Bots. Cruise and the yellowing beast bot, whose name I forgot. That's all that we're here to talk. Oh, and I've been thinking of some new beast. I've been thinking of Three Eyes. Says powers original green, red Zeo, and blue super mega force.
Yeah, that's a lot of Tommy Rangers, Andrew. We gotta stop using Tommy. He's not the only Power Ranger ever.
I know, but
all of his powers are already in the Master Ranger, and JJ has some of them.
But I said one that isn't him.
Alright. I know. That's fine. I get it. We're having fun with it. Just letting you know you're using that guy an awful lot.
I don't know why I keep on.
Was that it? Did you have any other more designs for him?
Oh.
You did decide what his weapon was.
It is a trident.
What's it look like?
It looks like a trident with a red top and the main color blue, and then green spirals, and it looks like it has duct tape.
It has duct tape. Is that because the one we made does have duct tape?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright, let me tell you about the Graveyard Zord episode. Where they've picked up Triton's ult, and he tracks down some old Ranger energy to the Zord graveyard, which is protected by the Ranger Slayer.
Oh, yeah.
In her graveyard Zord. So, she sees more people show up, thinking they're trying to steal more Zord parts, because everyone's around looking for Ranger relics now. And she fights them. And they're in their Dragon Zord megaship, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, they fight, and then they eventually figure out that they're not there to steal, that they're actually on a mission to put these things together, because she meets Alpha Point 5, and she learns of Billy and what happened to him, and also because another bad guy shows up to battle them.
Who?
Divastronema.
Who's that?
Dun, dun, dun. Divatox and with Astronoma's powers. Divatox from Turbo, Astronema from In Space.
Okay.
She rides in a space sub. Imagine that, right?
Yeah, we're basically just going to use one that we are already going to make for something else.
Now, Divastronema is going to come in a little handy in the episode when we meet Z, which hasn't happened yet. The kid on the planet Zeo.
Yeah.
Because Divatox is the twin sister of Dimitri. Dimitri is who Zordon left in charge of the Rangers when he went into space during Turbo, when he got kidnapped. Do you remember the woman in the jar?
No.
You didn't watch much Turbo, did you?
No.
Alright. Well, there's a woman in a jar. Now, who is Z's father?
Zordon.
Mm-hmm. What's missing for that equation?
A mother.
Uh-huh. We're going to find out more about that in his episode. Divastronema built her space sub out of her old sub by taking Zord parts from the Zord graveyard. She came back to raid it again. Which is why the Ranger Slayer went there to protect it, because it had been raided several times. She was using morphing grid energy to power up her space sub by stealing Zord parts. So she shows up to raid it again, and that's when the Ranger Slayer realizes that they're not the bad guys, she is. So they combine forces, and they fight her off, right? And we have TX, Triton Zolt there, as our little tech master. He asks the Ranger Slayer something. What do you think he asks her?
I don't know.
Hey, I don't have a Megazord. Can we put something together here? So they build a new Megazord.
Yeah, that's good.
But the Ranger Slayer notices something in JJ and says, I notice you're riding the Dragon Zord. You know, there's another Zord here that might work out well with him. Tommy had both of these. Whose head fell off?
The Tiger Zord.
So where do you think his body is? In the graveyard. So our Dragon Astro Mega Ship, let's get some Tiger Zord parts on it. What do you think about that? You like that idea?
Yeah, but hey Dad, do you think you could find a broken down Astro Mega Ship?
No.
Why?
I had one once and I sold it. But why? Because you want to try to build this thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that.
We need it. To build it, we need a broken down Dragon Zord,
Even if I could build it, you know it wouldn't be transformable, right?
I know. A broken down Astro Mega Ship and a broken down Tiger Zord.
And then Triton Zolt is going to take a number of episodes to build his sword, and it's going to come in handy exactly when we might need it, right? He is building a 6-armed Zord built out of random pieces. We're going to call it the Shiva Zord. Do you know why?
No.
Shiva is a 6-armed Indian god, or goddess. I think it's a goddess. 6 arms, sometimes shown with 3 eyes. Master of life and death. Okay? And I definitely think a few of those should be tentacles. Because what else has 6 arms? What happens if you add 2 legs to 6 arms?
Don't know.
What's 6 plus 2?
8.
What has 8 arms? Or 8 legs?
A spider.
Or an octopus. Do we know any Octozords?
Not that I know of.
We don't know any Octozords.
The Squid Zord.
Yeah. I think there's also an Octozord. I think that's an Octozord, Xander.
No, it's a squid.
I think there's also an Octozord. Gold. Samurai.
Yeah, the Squid Zord is Gold Samurai.
That's a white sword, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's his Zord. I don't know why he gets a white Zord, but it's still his Zord. I've seen it up here.
I think they still call it the Octozord, but you're right, it does look more like a squid, doesn't it? Huh. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell you. Our next episode is going to be about going to the planet Zeo and meeting Z. And this is where I'm going to reveal to you some more things about him, which in the episodes, we wouldn't really know that in the episode. It wouldn't get revealed until later, right?
Yeah.
Alright, is there anything you want to tell our people before we sign off?
Z is actually Zordon's child.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wait, what kind of child is he again?
Oh, he's Eltar.
No. What name of a child is one without a mother?
Oh, illegitimate.
He's an illegitimate child.
That usually means a child without a father. But it also means for children that happen outside of marriage. Okay?
Okay.
Alright. You want to tell our people to be continued?
To be continued. Bum, bum, bum. I have to. welcome to Xandercast 152. And my dad will be telling you all about new Rangers.
This will be another in our continuing saga on the Power Rangers legends we've invented. We are deep into Season 2 with Zombie Zordon, and they're going around in their Astro
Dragon Mega Ship.
Yeah, I have yet to always remember which way is which. 1 second, Xander. I actually have to pause it. And we're back. Alright, so Power Rangers Legends. So some of our stories as a quick recap. Billy is gone. Zombie Zordon did something to him. Zombie Zordon, so they went looking for the Sword of Light, the last of Zordon's power. They went to Eltar, talked to the Owl Lady, didn't find anything there. She directed them to the planet of Sirius, the dog alien planet, who had taken in all of the refugees when Aquitar was destroyed during the Dark Spectre War. And we met who there?
Zeo.
We're on Sirius, we're not on the Zeo planet.
I forget.
3 Eyes.
Oh, yeah, 3 Eyes.
Or Triton Zolt, or TX, as he's called, who started out as a bad guy.
Yeah.
But became good. And then we went to the Zeo planet, I think. There's a couple episodes here, I'm not sure the timeline. We went to the Zeo planet. We were getting some kind of signal that TX was able to trace down. Who did we find there?
Zeo.
The boy is named Z. A boy with a white face?
Zordon's child.
Yep. So we take him because he's been all alone on this planet for a while. I don't think we've picked up the Magic Ranger yet, because we didn't really write any of her story. But we did go to the Zord graveyard and ran into who?
The bad pink Ranger.
Ranger Slayer.
Ranger Slayer.
Well, she's good again. She's been guarding the Zord graveyard because of all the bad guys trying to steal Ranger relics.
And she thought the Rangers were bad guys.
Well, yeah, because she saw them flying old Zords and assumed that a bad guy had stolen them and was coming to steal more. Well, in the middle of their fight, they're attacked by somebody in a space sub. Do you know who that is?
Raphael's brother.
That's our Misfit Pirate story, but not our part of our Power Ranger story. I did steal the idea of a space sub for a good reason. Because the bad guy is Diva Astronema. It's Divatox, who had a sub, given the power of Astronema, who had a spaceship. If you put her things together, what do you get?
A space sub!
So she attacks, and that's when the Ranger Slayer realizes that these people are good. On their way out, she lets them pick through the graveyard to build a new Zord.
For Triton Zolt.
Well, yep, Triton Zolt is kind of a tech genius. So he builds himself... I have lots of ideas for Zords. It could be anyone you want. The Shiva Zord, which is a 6-armed mixed-up Zord. Or the Chimera Zord, which is named after a mythological creature mixed up with different animal parts.
I'm thinking of it being a Megazord, but each different Ranger has a Megazord.
And JJ grabbed some stuff to add on to our ship. What Zord's parts does he grab?
I don't know.
The Tiger Zord.
Of course.
For some reason, he keeps getting bits and pieces of Tommy Oliver Zords. Alright, so now they're off, right? Now I'm going to introduce you, and I have not written the story on how these happen yet. Zombie Zordon, who gave Divatox Astronema's powers, taps her to retrieve a relic, an evil relic, the Sword of Darkness.
What's that?
That's the sword Tommy used when he was the first evil Green Ranger.
Oh.
Yeah. And with it, Zombie Zordon uses it to resurrect the Prism Psycho Ranger.
Oh boy.
And he tells those two to assemble a team of evil rangers. Using some bits of the power of the Dark Rangers that Zord Zed did not ever really get to do well, and bits and pieces of other relics of evil rangers. Our first two relics they invent, the Amorphers. With them, you get the gold Infinity Ranger and the green Chaos Ranger. Their morphers look like little blobs that you put any relic into, and they can copy those powers until they burn them out, and they're gone forever. So far our team is Prism Psycho Ranger, Diva Astronema, who's kind of like their Zordon, led by the Prism Psycho Ranger, and we have the gold Infinity Ranger and the green Chaos Ranger. Now we introduce the next member of our team.
Dad.
What?
In the Amorphous, I can actually put an original power coin in.
Yeah. That's why I made them. We actually have toys I got this idea from, and they're tubes from Nickelodeon's GAC slime.
I know.
And I've painted them shiny.
I know.
And you can put a power coin in. It's big enough to fit a power coin inside of there. Or you can pretend you can fit a different Ranger relic in there, a Morpher, and use it to morph into an evil version of that Ranger, absorb their powers. So our latest evil Ranger, the Robo Ranger. It uses part Machine Kingdom Empire technology, powered by the Dark Ranger energy, and the technology they use to clone Rangers in Dimensions in Danger. The Robo Ranger's morpher looks like a broken mirror with gears all over it. Whenever it's in proximity of another Ranger or their relics, it can copy them into an evil version. Sometimes with robot parts, because it doesn't copy it completely. So, yes, that's it. So they can copy the Rangers, but they got to be around another Ranger or another Ranger relic to copy it. Later on, the Robo Ranger is going to figure out how to copy more than one at once.
Ooh.
Now, here's where I'm going to ask you. Who is wearing those Ranger powers?
What Ranger powers?
Those evil Rangers. Who are they? I don't have an answer for that. I'm asking you. I'm thinking the Robo Ranger is a robot.
Yeah, I'm thinking the Robo Ranger was a bad human which stole some Kingdom Empire and some cloning technology that they used in Dimension and Danger. But when he has to be near the Ranger relic. But there's not many of those left in the story. We pretend that each Ranger took a bunch of them from the same spot to get powers.
I think being a person who turned bad would suit better for the gold and the green. Being that the Robo Ranger is called the Robo Ranger, probably should be a robot, but hear me out here. He's a reprogrammed evil robot we already know. Redbot.
Oh.
How do you think about that?
Yeah.
Who got destroyed. Well, he didn't really ever get destroyed, but we're going to say he got destroyed somewhere. And they took his pieces, rebuilt him into the Robo Ranger.
Okay.
Who else would know better about morphing?
Redbot.
Now the gold and the green are going to be new guys, and there's some evil good guys, okay? Or evil humans, or aliens, or whatever you want.
Okay.
And this Prism Psycho was never really a person. We had a comic where they were like people, but in the TV show, they never revealed them to ever really be anything under the costume. Now, I'm gonna do a little to be continued.
To be continued.
2 more members of this team. This is our cliffhanger, we call it, where we want them to tune in again next time. There's 2 other members of this team, and they are people we already know that get corrupted and turned into evil rangers. Now to be continued.
To be continued. Dun dun dun.